Republicans must understand exactly what they're doing. So today, I think it's important to establish some facts about the process that protects the Senate from agencies that try to game the system. Mr. President, I have a parliamentary inquiry.
The senator will state his inquiry.
Mr. President, is it correct that the then Senate parliamentarian in 2008, in coordination with bipartisan Senate leadership and committee staff, developed a Senate procedure for determining what qualifies for expedited consideration under the Congressional Review Act when an agency fails to submit an action to Congress, and that a precedent under that procedure was first established in 2012?
Based on information that is publicly available, yes, that is correct.
Thank you. And is it correct that that procedure, which uses a GAO determination as to the nature of the agency action, whether or not it is a rule, has been implemented numerous times by senators on both sides of the aisle, including one occasion where a GAO letter gave rise to a joint resolution of disapproval, which became law?
Based on information that is publicly available, yes, that is correct.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
President.
The senator from Rhode Island.
Mr. President, I join the ranking member of the Rules Committee with a parliamentary inquiry of my own.
The senator will state his inquiry.
Is it true that unless a piece of legislation is privileged under a rule or statutory provision or is the subject of a unanimous consent agreement, motions to proceed to that legislation are generally fully debatable?
Yes, that is correct.
That is correct. And for those of you following this at home, fully debatable means 60 votes are required to end debate, which Republicans do not have. Mr. President, I have a further parliamentary inquiry.
The senator will state his inquiry.
Is it commonplace for Senate offices and for whichever senator is presiding over the Senate to consult with the parliamentarian to determine whether and in what manner expedited procedures apply under a host of statutes, including the War Powers Act, the National Emergencies Act, the Congressional Budget Act, and the Congressional Review Act?
Yes, that is correct.
Again, for those of you following this at home, means that this is the commonplace way in which the Senate operates, and when it becomes the parliamentarian's call on a matter and not anyone else's call. So in the Congressional Review Act matter before us, here's what happened. Both sides drafted written memoranda to the parliamentarian. Both sides presented oral arguments to the parliamentarian. The parliamentarian asked questions of both sides, and the parliamentarian, our neutral referee, reached a decision. That all took place here in the Senate, actually over there in the LBJ room. The GAO was not even in the room when the arguments were made. And that decision, the decision of the parliamentarian, is what is now at hand in what is about to happen here in the Senate. And with that, let me note the presence on the floor of the Democratic leader and yield the floor.
Mr. President.
The Democratic leader.
Mr. President, is it true that the parliamentarian advised leadership offices that the joint resolutions of disapproval regarding the California waivers at issue does not qualify for expedited consideration under the Congressional Review Act?
While the chair has no personal knowledge of those circumstances, the parliamentarian has advised me that such advice was given.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I yield, I want everyone to understand what the essence of my question was. This week, the Republicans want to use a legislative tool known as the CRA in an unprecedented way to repeal emissions waivers that the fossil fuel industry has long detested. The CRA has never been used to go after emission waivers like the ones in question today. The waiver is so important to the health of our country, and particularly to our children. To go nuclear on something as significant as this and to do the bidding of the fossil fuel industry is outrageous. And we just heard, in response to my inquiry just now, that the parliamentarian affirmed this, that these California waivers are not eligible for the expedited procedures that the CRA affords. That means that legislation to repeal these waivers should be subject to a 60-vote threshold in the Senate. To use the CRA in a way that Republicans propose is going nuclear. No ands, ifs, or buts.